So heart is supplied by two coronary arteries, right and left coronary. Only the innermost 75 to 100 micrometer of endocardial zone receives nutrition directly from the blood that lies within the chambers of the heart. Okay, rest part is supplied by these branches of the coronary arteries. Only innermost 75 to 100 micrometer it is supplied, gets its nutrition directly from the blood that lies within the chambers of the heart. Okay, next. So what are the features of coronary arteries? These arise from ascending aorta, and these arteries are vasa vasorum of the aorta. And these coronary arteries are functional end arteries, but not an anatomical end arteries. Okay, anastomoses are present between the branches of these two arteries, but they does not function properly. Okay, and they receive the blood during the ventricular diastole. Normally, all the arteries get their blood during ventricular systole, but these arteries are getting blood during ventricular diastole. Okay, and this is very important. This line very frequently comes in your Viva and MCQ. They are functional end arteries, but not anatomical end arteries. Okay, next. And they are prone for development of the atherosclerosis, deposition of lipid in the wall of the arteries. Next, see here, this is section through the ascending aorta. Here is the origin of the left coronary artery, and this here origin of the right coronary artery from the aortic sinuses, and from this aortic sinus no coronary artery is arising, so this is non-coronary sinus. Next. So the right coronary artery arises from the anterior or right coronary aortic sinus of the ascending aorta, and the aortic sinuses are dilatations of the aortic wall just above the aortic valve. And right coronary artery is smaller than the left coronary artery. Okay, you have seen previously the origins here. Origin of the left coronary, here is the origin of the right coronary. Okay, right coronary artery arises from the anterior sinus. If this is anterior aortic sinus, from here right coronary artery is arising, and left posterior sinus, from here left coronary artery is arising. Okay, next we are going to the course of the right coronary artery. Course of the artery can be divided into two segments, first and second. So first segment, the right coronary artery arises from the anterior aortic sinus, passes forward and to the right between the pulmonary trunk and right auricle here. This is right coronary artery. So this part descending downward and towards the right in between the right auricle and the right pulmonary trunk. So this part will be the first part, and then the artery runs vertically downward in the right atrioventricular groove here, in the right atrioventricular groove up to the inferior border of the heart. Here it enters into the posterior atrioventricular groove and giving the posterior interventricular artery, right coronary artery. And the second segment, from here second segment is starting from the inferior border. The artery winds around the inferior heart border to enter in the right side of posterior atrioventricular groove, and the artery ends by anastomosing with the circumflex branch of the anterior interventricular artery. Okay, here this anterior interventricular artery is anastomosing with the posterior interventricular artery. Next, here you can see this part is the first segment up to the inferior border. Here posteriorly, lying in the posterior part of atrioventricular groove is the second segment, and from here this inferior or posterior interventricular artery is arising, and it is anastomosing with the continuation of anterior interventricular artery in the lower part of the groove. Okay. Next we are going to the different branches of right coronary. First is right conus artery. Okay, here this one is right conus artery. Conus artery is forming a ring around the origin of the pulmonary trunk. Okay, annulus of Vuissens. So right conus artery or arteria coni arteriosi. It is the first branch of right coronary artery, supplies the infundibulum of the right ventricle, okay, from where pulmonary trunk is arising. Here, this is pulmonary trunk. And then the right anterior ventricular branches. These are the right anterior ventricular branches. They supply anterior surface of the right ventricle. Then right marginal artery, here near the inferior border. Here is the right marginal artery. It is the largest ventricular branch, runs along the inferior margin of the heart and goes towards the apex of the heart. And it supplies the sternocostal surface of the heart. Okay. Next is arterial branches. These are the atrial branches. There are anterior, lateral and posterior atrial branches, and that supply the right atrium. Okay. All the part of the right atrium is supplied from this right coronary atrial branches. Next is acynodal artery or sinoatrial nodal artery. It is supplies the AC node in 60% individual arises from right coronary and 40% arises from left coronary. Next is right posterior ventricular branches. There are 2 to 3. Okay. Here, these are the right posterior ventricular branches, and they arise from second segment of the right coronary artery and supply the inferior or diaphragmatic surface of the right ventricle. Next is posterior interventricular branch. This one is posterior interventricular branch, arises from right coronary in 90% of individual. Origin of this posterior interventricular branch determines the coronary dominance. Okay, generally we have right coronary dominance in 90% of individual, and in 10% it arises from the circumflex branch of the left coronary, and in those cases it is left coronary dominance. Also there is some codominance. Okay, we will discuss. So this posterior interventricular artery, this is very important. So it runs in the posterior interventricular groove, and this artery ends by anastomosing with the anterior interventricular artery, and it gives these branches, septal branches for posterior inferior 1/3 of the interventricular septum, nodal branch in 60% individual for AV node, and ventricular branches for inferior surface of right and left ventricles. Okay, so these are the branches from posterior interventricular branch. Next, see here, this is the diaphragmatic surface. This is right coronary, here is the circumflex branch of left coronary. So this posterior interventricular branch is arising from right coronary, and in the lower part anastomosing with the anterior interventricular artery. Okay, these are the atrial branches supplying the right atrium. Here are the posterior ventricular branches supplying the diaphragmatic surface of the right ventricle. Okay. Next, see, this is the supplying area. This is anterior interventricular artery, and this is the location of posterior interventricular artery. Okay, and interventricular septum is supplied like this. See, here is the location of anterior interventricular artery, posterior interventricular artery. Anterosuperior 2/3 of the interventricular septum is supplied by this anterior interventricular artery, and posterior 1/3 is supplied by posterior interventricular artery. Okay, so this is supply of the interventricular septum. Next, okay, so what is the distribution? What are the areas supplied by right coronary? Right coronary artery supplies the right atrium, right ventricle, except a small part adjacent to the anterior interventricular groove, which is supplied by branch from left coronary here. And left ventricle adjacent to the posterior interventricular groove, interventricular septum, posterior 1/3, and conduction system of the heart except the left bundle branch. You have seen branch to SA node, AV node, all are arising from right coronary. So mainly conduction system is supplied by the right coronary artery. Next. So these are the branches. Right coronary artery arises from anterior aortic sinus of the ascending aorta, runs in the right part of the atrioventricular groove and giving these branches. Right conus artery, right anterior interventricular branches 3 to 4, right marginal artery, atrial branches are 2 to 3, right posterior ventricular branch 2 to 3. From here, one is SA nodal branch in 60%, and posterior interventricular artery is given in 90% of individuals, and it also gives the septal branch, AV nodal branch and ventricular branches. So all these are branches of right coronary artery. Next, see, annulus of Wissens have been shown. See here, right conus artery and left conus artery, they are joining with each other. Anastomosis of conus arteries from right coronary artery and anterior descending coronary artery around the origin of the pulmonary trunk, okay, forming the annulus of Wissens, okay. So left conus artery is branched from anterior interventricular branch of left coronary, and this right conus is branched from right coronary artery, okay. They are joining to form the annulus of Wissens. Next. So third coronary artery, it is sometimes present if right coronary artery arises directly, right conus artery, okay, those right conus artery arises directly from the anterior aortic sinus, then it is called third coronary artery. Annulus of Wissens, it is sometimes asked in your viva. It is an anastomotic necklace formed around the infundibulum, that is outflow tract of the right ventricle, and also called Wissens isthmus or Wissens limbus or Wissens ring. And it is formed by right conus artery and left conus artery. Right conus artery is branch of right coronary artery, left conus artery is branch of left circumflex coronary artery, okay. Next. Next is SA nodal artery. In 65% individual arises from right coronary, 35% from the circumflex branch of left coronary. And right and left coronary arteries give rise to vasa vasorum to the ascending aorta. Okay. Next. Okay. See here the branches of the left coronary artery. Left conus artery, anterior interventricular artery and circumflex artery. It is also giving left marginal artery. This is diagonal artery, and this part, the circumflex artery is going to lie on the posterior part of the atrioventricular groove, and finally anastomosing with a branch of right coronary artery near the crux of the heart, okay. Next. So the left coronary artery arises from the left posterior aortic sinus of the ascending aorta, and this artery is larger than the right coronary artery, and main trunk of the artery divides into two branches, anterior interventricular artery and left circumflex coronary artery. Next. So main trunk, the left coronary artery, we are discussing the course. So it passes to the left between the pulmonary trunk and left auricle here, between pulmonary trunk and left auricle, and ends by dividing into two branches, this anterior interventricular and circumflex coronary artery. Next. Anterior interventricular artery descends along the anterior interventricular groove and turns around the inferior heart border, enters the posterior interventricular groove, and where it ends by anastomosing with the posterior interventricular artery here. And left circumflex coronary artery runs in the left part of the atrioventricular groove, winds around the left heart border to reach the posterior part of the atrioventricular groove and ends by anastomosing with the right coronary artery near the crux of the heart. Here, crux of the heart is very, very important. Joining point of posterior interventricular groove, posterior part of the atrioventricular groove and interatrial groove, posterior interatrial groove. Okay. Next. Next is anterior interventricular artery, also known as left anterior descending, LAD. Okay. In block occurs in this artery, mainly anterior interventricular artery. It gives these branches, anterior ventricular branches that supply the sternocostal surface of right and left ventricle, here giving the ventricular branches. Next is diagonal artery. It is the largest anterior ventricular artery. This is diagonal artery. Occasionally arises from the junction of anterior interventricular artery and left circumflex coronary artery, here from this junction. Left conus artery supplies the pulmonary conus, this one left conus artery. Next is septal branches supply the anterior 2/3 of the interventricular septum. Okay, so these are the branches from anterior interventricular artery. Next we are going to left circumflex coronary artery. Two terminal branches of left coronary, one we have discussed, anterior interventricular. Next is left circumflex coronary, here. It gives these branches. First is ventricular branches to supply the sternocostal left and inferior surfaces of the left ventricle, here, these areas. Atrial branches to supply adjacent area of the left atrium, atrial branches. And sinoatrial nodal artery, SA nodal artery, arises from left circumflex coronary artery in 40% of the individuals. Left marginal artery runs along the left heart border towards the apex. This is left marginal artery. And posterior interventricular artery arises from left circumflex coronary artery, continues as posterior interventricular artery in 10 to 20% of individual, here. Next is Kugel's artery. In 90% arises from the right coronary and 10% only arises from the 10 to 20 posterior interventricular branch arteries arising from the left circumflex coronary artery. Next is Kugel's artery. It is the atrial branch of left coronary artery and that anastomoses with similar branch of right coronary artery along the anterior wall of the atria. Okay, it has not been shown here. Next. So, what is the area of distribution of the left coronary artery? Left coronary artery supplies this left atrium, left ventricle except the area adjoining the posterior interventricular groove. Right ventricle adjoining anterior interventricular groove and interventricular septum only anterior 2/3 and left bundle of Fish. Okay, only part of the conduction system supplied by the left coronary. Next, so these are the branches of left coronary. It arises from left posterior aortic sinus of the ascending aorta. It has a short trunk and then divides into two branches, anterior interventricular artery, left circumflex artery. Anterior interventricular artery runs in anterior interventricular groove and these are the branches: anterior ventricular branch, diagonal artery, left conus artery, septal branches. And left circumflex artery has these branches: ventricular branches, atrial branches, Kugel's artery, one of the atrial branches, SA nodal artery in 35% cases and left marginal artery, posterior interventricular artery is 10 to 25% of cases. This is the supply of the interventricular septum. From anterior and posterior interventricular branches, anterosuperior 2/3 of the septum supplied by anterior interventricular branch and posterior 1/3 by the posterior interventricular branch. See here, anterior interventricular branch, anterior superior 2/3, posterior 1/3 supplied by the posterior interventricular branch. Okay, and see the wall thickness of left ventricle is more than the right ventricle. Okay, and the septum is displaced towards the right ventricle because ventricular pressure in the left ventricle is more than the right one. That's why septum is displaced towards the right ventricle. Next. Next we discuss the cardiac dominance. Okay, very frequently asked in your viva during viscera table. What is cardiac dominance? Okay, so cardiac dominance is also called coronary predominance. Cardiac dominance is based on the origin of posterior interventricular artery. These are the three types of cardiac dominances: right cardiac dominance, left cardiac dominance, and balanced cardiac dominance or co-dominance. Okay, so right cardiac dominance, if posterior interventricular artery arises from right coronary artery, it is called right cardiac dominance. In 95% of individuals have right cardiac dominance. And left cardiac dominance, if posterior interventricular artery arises from left circumflex coronary artery, it is called left cardiac dominance. And only 10% individuals have left cardiac dominance. Next is balanced cardiac dominance. It is a rare condition and where the posterior interventricular artery is derived from the junction of right and left circumflex coronary artery. Okay, from the junction of these two arteries. This is also asked in your viva. What is co-dominance or balanced cardiac dominance? Okay. Next. Okay, so anastomosis of coronary artery is anatomical and not physiological. Hence, sudden occlusion of coronary blood flow results in myocardial infarction. Okay, this is one important explain why. If there is anastomosis between the branches of two coronary arteries, why myocardial infarction occurs? Okay, because these anastomosis are anatomical but not functional. Okay, not physiological or not functional. Important explain why. Next is coronary anastomosis increases with advancing age of an individual and hence myocardial infarctions are more fatal in young individuals than the old one because older people has more number of anastomosis, so less chance of infarction. And coronary vessels also anastomose with branches of internal thoracic arteries, bronchial arteries, pericardiacophrenic arteries and esophageal arteries. Okay. Next. See, these are the locations of pain of the angina pectoris. Okay. In the left part of the chest, going towards the left shoulder, inner aspect of the left arm and forearm. Okay. So these are the location of pain for angina pectoris. Next. See here coronary atherosclerosis. This is normal coronary artery and in this coronary artery with atherosclerosis, deposition of plaque formed by cholesterol, macrophage, calcium and so on. There will be narrowed lumen of the artery and obstruction to the blood flow and it will lead to angina pectoris and myocardial infarction later on. Next. So what is angina pectoris? These are important clinical aspects. In long question, these clinical aspects can come. Then you have to diagnose the case. What is occurring? Pain in this area. What has happened? And then you will be asked about the coronary circulations. Okay. So angina pectoris, it is a referred pain from the heart and that is felt in the chest region because of reduced blood supply to the heart. And what is coronary atherosclerosis? Atherosclerosis is deposition of lipids in the tunica intima of the coronary vessels. And this atherosclerosis will lead to angina pectoris. Next. Next is ischemic heart disease, important for your long question. Ischemic heart disease is also called coronary artery disease. It is a condition in which myocardium does not receive adequate supply of blood and oxygen. Okay. What are the causes? Coronary atherosclerosis is the major cause of ischemic heart disease, and it is classified according to based on the severity as this. Ischemic heart disease is classified on severity as follows. From above downward, there is increase in severity. So, least severe is angina pectoris. It is stable angina and unstable angina. Stable angina means when patient rests, pain will be gone. In unstable angina, there will be continuous pain even after rest. Okay. It is more severe than the stable angina. Next is myocardial infarction. Some part of the cardiac tissue is dead. Next, due to the infarction, there will be gradually heart failure. These cardiac muscles are dying, so they cannot pump the blood, so there will be heart failure. After that, there will be development of the arrhythmia. To handle the situation, if there is less blood flow, the body will want to survive and it will produce arrhythmia. Okay, abnormal contraction of the heart, and finally there will be sudden cardiac death. There will be complete stoppage of the heart after arrhythmia. Okay, so these are the severities. First will be angina pectoris, pain, then infarction, myocardial infarction, heart failure, arrhythmia, and sudden cardiac death. Next. Okay, so these are the sites, common sites of blockage of the coronary occlusions, common sites of blockage. Okay, in the here blockage occurs in right coronary artery in 30 to 40% cases. Most common is blockage in the anterior interventricular artery, left anterior descending in 40 to 50% cases, and 15 to 20% cases blockage can occur in left circumflex coronary artery. Okay, so these are the three common sites of occlusion of the coronary arteries. These are important. This is most common, left anterior descending or anterior interventricular artery. And percentage 40 to 50% can be given in your MCQ or can be asked in Viva. Okay, next. So angina pectoris is pain which occurs in the chest due to reduced blood or oxygen supply to the heart, and angina is paroxysmal, usually recurrent attacks of substernal or precordial chest discomfort. It is caused by transient 15 second to 15 minute myocardial ischemia, and that is insufficient to induce necrosis of the cardiac myocytes. And it is described as heavy, tight and gripping pain that is typically retrosternal. Patient will feel heaviness in the chest. And it is also referred to the left shoulder, medial side of the arm and forearm. And the angina pectoris can be stable angina, unstable angina. Stable angina, this type of angina begins on exercise or physical activity. And unstable angina occurs at rest and lasts for more than 20 minutes. It is severe than the stable angina. Okay. Next. Next is myocardial infarction or heart attack. Okay. So a sudden occlusion of the branch of coronary artery leads to complete loss of blood supply of a specific area of the heart. And at this area, myocardium undergoes infarction, reduced blood supply, and finally into necrosis, tissue death. Myocardial infarction produces these symptoms: angina pectoris that lasts longer than 30 minutes, and nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath, sweating. And commonly involved vessels in coronary occlusion is these three. We have seen in the picture. Anterior interventricular artery is most common in 40-50% cases, and left anterior descending, and right coronary artery in 30 to 40% cases, and left circumflex coronary artery in 15 to 20% of cases. Okay. Next. So we have to detect it via coronary angiogram. Okay, next. Next is cardiac arrest. It is sudden loss of blood flow to the body due to failure of pumping function of the heart due to infarction. So myocardial infarction is most common cause of cardiac arrest, and if cardiac arrest is not treated within minutes, it leads to cardiac death, sudden cardiac arrest. And the signs of cardiac arrest are loss of consciousness, abnormal or absent breathing, severe chest pain, vomiting, and so on. Okay. Next, these are the investigations you can do for this myocardial infarction. First is ECG. ECG is method of record of graph, represents the myocardial activity. It shows PQRST. For details, you have to read from the physiology. There will be ST elevation in myocardial infarction. Okay. So ST segment elevated, and there are many other changes observed based on involvement of specific areas of the heart. Next is echocardiography, method of examination of heart using ultrasonic waves, okay, to assess the thickness, shape, size, movement of different heart chambers or different heart valves, okay. Next is Doppler echocardiography. It is method to record the blood flow through the heart chambers and measure vessels, and it is useful for detection of valvular functions and septal defects, okay. Next, see ECG have been shown here, QRS complex, then ST segment, T wave, okay. So you have to see for abnormalities. Here normal ECG have been shown. Next, see this is echocardiography. 4 chambers have been shown: right ventricle, left ventricle, right atrium, left atrium. So these are the valves: mitral valve, tricuspid valve, okay. And from the left ventricle, here will be the aortic valve. Aortic valve is also visible. Okay, next. And this is coronary angiography. For angiography or angioplasty, the angiographic catheter is introduced through the femoral artery. Okay, it is passed through the external iliac, then common iliac, then aorta, descending thoracic aorta, then arch of aorta enters into the heart chamber. Here from the ascending aorta, it can enter into the coronary arteries and go towards the place of blockage, and it will push the dye during the angiography, and it will place the stent in case of angioplasty. Okay. Next. So coronary angiography, it is a radiological procedure. This can come as a part of the long question or as a short note. Important clinical aspects. Okay. So it is a radiological procedure to visualize the coronary arteries. This is how the procedure is done. A long catheter is inserted through the femoral artery in the inguinal region, and then it is directed towards the ascending aorta, femoral artery towards external iliac, common iliac, descending abdominal aorta, descending thoracic aorta, arch of aorta, ascending aorta. Okay. And a radiopaque dye is injected into the coronary artery and radiograph is obtained. And this coronary angiogram shows branching pattern of vessels and the site of the blockage. Okay. This branching pattern of the vessels will be seen. Next. See here, this is coronary angiography. Okay. Normal right coronary angiography showing the right anterior oblique view. So this is right coronary artery and its different branches have been shown. And this is normal left coronary angiogram. Okay. This is anterior interventricular artery and this is circumflex branch of the left coronary. Okay. So no blockage is there, so all the branches can be visible. If blockage is present, rest of the part distal to the block, the branches will not be visible in the angiogram. Okay. Next. This is also a normal angiogram. Right coronary artery is visualized here, posterior interventricular artery, and left coronary is visualized here. Okay. Next, here also normal left coronary angiogram. Okay, lateral view. This is anterior interventricular branch. These are the some septal branches. 3 is the circumflex branch, and left marginal branch of the left coronary have been shown here. Next, this is coronary artery angioplasty. Okay, here the catheter is introduced at the site of blockage, and here stent is placed. Stent is made up of some metal, and it is formed like a mesh. Okay, and inside the mesh there is a balloon. Finally, this balloon is dilated to place the stent in position. After that, the balloon is deflated and the catheter is taken out. Okay, and mesh, this stent, mesh like this stent, it will help to keep this vessel patent. Okay. Next. So the coronary angioplasty, it is a procedure used to open the blocked coronary arteries. What is the procedure? A catheter with inflatable blood balloon and stent, which is a wired mesh tube. It is inserted into the coronary artery through the femoral artery, and at the site of block the balloon is inflated, and later the balloon is deflated and catheter is removed, leaving behind the stressed stent. And this will open up the lumen of the blocked vessel. You can see here lumen is blocked, mesh is placed, balloon deflated and catheter is taken out, mesh stent is in position, opening up of the vessel. Okay, and there will be blood flow will increase blood flow, and it is performed by the cardiologist. Okay, next is coronary artery bypass grafting. Okay, when there is no chance of this placement of stent, then you have to do coronary artery bypass grafting. So it is a surgical procedure used to bypass the blocked segment of the coronary artery. So what is the procedure? A segment of a vessel is connected to ascending aorta or proximal part of the coronary artery to the part of coronary artery distal to the blockage site. Okay, see here right internal thoracic artery or internal mammary artery is here it is connected with the distal part of the anterior interventricular artery. Here is the site of blockage. Distal to the blockage it is connected. So the distal part will get blood supply from the right internal thoracic artery. Okay, and here left internal thoracic artery is connected with this distal to this blockage. In the left marginal artery blockage is present here. So a segment of vessel is connected to ascending aorta or proximal part of coronary artery and to the part of coronary artery distal to the blockage site. And vessels used for bypass grafting are internal thoracic artery, great saphenous veins, and radial artery. Okay, this is very frequently asked in your Viva and MCQ. What are the structures used for coronary artery bypass graft? Here, 2 internal thoracic artery has been shown. Rest these 2 structures are also can be taken. Great saphenous vein from the leg and radial artery. Okay, and it is performed by cardiothoracic surgeon. Okay, coronary artery bypass grafting. Next, so those anastomosis distal to the block site have been shown. Internal thoracic arteries are providing supply distal to the blockage. Next we are going to principal veins of the heart. Okay, so here is the coronary sinus. This is great cardiac vein. Here is the left marginal vein. In the great cardiac vein is lying in the anterior interventricular groove. In the posterior interventricular groove, this middle cardiac vein is lying. Here is another vein, inferior vein of left ventricle, and this is right marginal vein, and it is continuing as the small cardiac vein and finally going to drain into the coronary sinus. And these are anterior cardiac veins directly draining into the ventricles, right ventricle, sorry, right atrium. Okay. Next, this is posterior view of the heart or diaphragmatic surface. Here you can see the coronary sinus. This is inferior or posterior vein of left ventricle, middle cardiac vein, left marginal vein, great cardiac vein. Okay. From here, small cardiac vein. Next. আচ্ছা এটা আগেরটা হয়ে গেল আবার next. Okay. So venous drainage of the heart. So for coronary circulation, you have to write the two coronary arteries. Also, you have to discuss this venous drainage. Okay. So the venous blood of the heart is drained by the following veins: coronary sinus, anterior cardiac veins, and vena cordis minimi. 60% of venous blood from the heart enters into the right atrium. Remaining 40% enters into the different chambers of the heart via these anterior cardiac vein and vena cordis minimi. Vena cordis minimi are draining into all the chambers. Okay. Next. So coronary sinus is the major vein of the heart. It is about, this is important short note. Coronary sinus, very important short note. Okay. So it is the major vein of the heart. Size is about 2 to 3 centimeter long. Location, it is located in the posterior part of the atrioventricular groove, and it develops from left horn of the sinus venosus and part of the left common cardinal vein. Sometime comes in your MCQs. Okay, development. Next. So it begins as continuation of great cardiac vein in the left part of the atrioventricular groove. Next. See here, this is great cardiac vein. It is continuing posteriorly, and here the coronary sinus is arising. Okay. So it is continuation of the great cardiac vein in the left part of the atrioventricular groove. And this coronary sinus opens in the right atrium. Here, this is the opening in the right atrium. And opening lies in between the opening of inferior vena cava and right atrioventricular orifice. An opening of this coronary sinus is guarded by non-functioning rudimentary Thevesian valve. This name of the valve is also asked in your viva. Okay, Thevesian valve. Next. Okay, so here you can see his coronary sinus is continuation of great cardiac vein, and these are the all tributaries. Next. So tributaries are, they receives the following tributaries: great cardiac vein. Great cardiac vein begins at apex of heart, runs upward in the anterior interventricular groove, then runs in the left part of atrioventricular groove, runs around the left heart border, opens in the coronary sinus, and receives blood from left marginal vein. Middle cardiac vein begins at the apex of heart, runs in the posterior interventricular groove, and opens in the right end of the coronary sinus. Okay. Next is small cardiac vein. It lies in the right part of the atrioventricular groove, opens in the right end of the coronary sinus. Okay, here this is small cardiac vein, opens at right end of coronary sinus, receives blood from the right marginal vein. Next, posterior vein of left ventricle. Okay, so this is inferior vein, is the posterior vein of left ventricle. It drains the diaphragmatic surface of left ventricle, opens in the coronary sinus, just left to the middle cardiac vein. Here is the middle cardiac vein, left to it. This is posterior vein of the left ventricle. Next is right marginal vein. Right marginal vein, this one runs along the inferior heart border, opens into the small cardiac vein, sometimes opens directly into the right atrium. Next is left marginal vein. This one is left marginal vein, runs along the left heart border and drains into the coronary sinus. Okay. Next. So these are the venous drainage of the heart. Anterior cardiac veins opens directly into right atrium. Coronary sinus, this is the main vein of the heart. and veni cordis minimi. Veni cordis minimi open in all the four chambers of the heart. We have read 40% of venous blood directly drains into different chambers. 60% is drained through the coronary sinus. So coronary sinus is main vein of the heart, lies in the atrioventricular groove. Termination opens into the right atrium, and these are the tributaries. Great cardiac vein, anterior interventricular groove, mid vein, posterior interventricular groove. Small cardiac vein, right part of the AV groove, posterior vein of left ventricle, oblique vein of left atrium, left marginal vein, right marginal vein opens in the small cardiac vein. Okay, so all those you have seen in the picture. So we practice a schematic diagram for both the arteries, right and left coronary arteries, and schematic diagram for this coronary sinus and different tributaries. Okay. Next, you see the anterior cardiac veins. These are small veins and that drain the infundibulum of the right ventricle, open directly into the right atrium. Okay. Next, veni cordis minimi. Okay. These are also known as Thevesian veins, and these are small veins opens into all four chambers of the heart through foramina minimorum. Okay. Foramina venerum minimorum. These small dot-like openings, these are the openings of the veni cordis minimi. Okay. Here a right atrial wall have been shown, septal wall. Next. Okay, that's all. So this is the venous drainage of the heart. So coronary circulation is very, very important for your theory, long question. You have to write both the coronary arteries, right and left coronary, their course, different branches, and the venous system, the coronary sinus and its different tributaries, okay, for coronary circulation. And the clinical aspects are very important, ischemic heart disease and its different severities, okay, angina pectoris, myocardial infarction, all those are important according to their severity. And this coronary dominance, very important. Coronary sinus can individually come as a short note, okay.